Hello and welcome to Left Coast Live. It is Tuesday, November 12th. I am your host, Dieter McBusiness, joined as always by the one and only Stat Pat, Stateless Patriot. We are California lefties talking to you about national politics, baby. MAGA fascism is on its way, Stat Pat. We are
hmm
learning more about the people that will be part of Trump's second term as president. We are learning about some of the policies that will be coming out. And so I'm just starting to build a top 10 list of what to expect here from Trump's first 100 days because I think he's going to be dishing out quite a bit of policy changes.
Yeah, without a doubt. If his, I mean, if any of his cabinet picks so far are any indication, and the funniest thing about it, which I mean, I have no sympathy for these people, but there are a lot of MAGA types, a lot of people who are on board with the Trump train and whatnot, who are starting to get like really nervous about his cabinet picks and just baffled as to why he would choose a few of them.
Right.
And it's like it's nothing new to us. It's nothing new to the left. If you listen to any progressive media who are just shoulders deep digging through all this stuff and everything that Trump has been through, especially if you look through his first term as president, what he was able to accomplish, the people that he aligned himself with, the people that he had in his administration. This is not shocking at all, but it's still just because the right talks about how Kamala Harris wasn't qualified, whatever the fuck that means. Like here, like sure, whatever. Make your case for it. But some of the people that Trump is picking for his cabinet is like, what relation do they have at all to this position? What do
Right.
they bring to it? Like, how are they
They're
even
just a
remotely
sycophant.
qualified? Yeah, just like senseless.
So Stephen Miller is the guy that really scares
Oh yeah,
me the most
that yeah,
because he's
yeah.
a evil piece of
White
shit.
nationalist motherfucker. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was looking at these picks today myself,
hmm
and I saw. I mean, what is Musk gonna get?
Oh, they're God. It's so stupid. Like it's
So let's do the list. So Marco Rubio is gonna get Secretary of State,
right.
which
Yeah.
is
Red
interesting.
flag. Yeah.
The EPA is Lee Zeldin, who I don't know who the hell that is.
Where are they from? Is there
New
like some
York,
info? Um,
probably from the fossil fuel
More
industry.
than likely, yeah. But I think
Christy
probably some.
Nome is going to be the head of Homeland Security.
It fucking yeah. The dog killer lady. Yeah, the lady who killed her puppy, who is an insane MAGA loyalist. Yeah,
Mike Huckabee,
unhinged.
ambassador to Israel.
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. I mean, putting the evangelical in there, they'll fucking go along with the Zionist,
John Ratcliffe, who is a
blood
CIA
machine.
director, who was a CIA for him in the last administration. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
Do you know who that is? Pete
No,
Hegseth. That guy.
he's currently a co-host for Fox and Friends Weekend.
Yeah, yeah. This is the same guy who said, I haven't washed my hands in 10 years. I can't even see germs. So like, how do I even
Yeah,
know
I
they
know who he is.
exist?
Oh, he's such a douchebag.
He's
Going to be a
so
defense
stupid.
secretary.
The
Yeah,
defense
dude, this is going to be rock
secretary
bottom. These
of
people are retarded.
how in the fuck? How make it make sense? I'm what? How in the fuck do you go from like having a four-star general in that position to a fucking Fox News pundit on some fucking obscure weekend show? What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah. So White House Chief of Staff will be Susie Wiles, who's like a Betty Crocker gangster type. Then
Yeah.
Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy will be Stephen Miller. The border czar is Tom Homan, who I know is pretty ruthless
hmm
towards cracking down on the border. And then Mike Walls for National Security Advisor.
Mike Walls.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. Another one of these fucking neocons. Another one of these warmongers. It's just chock full of fucking people
yeah.
who won't admit that Iraq was a bad idea. Who are just frothing at the mouth for war with Iran. Who are insatiably obsessed with protecting Israel at all costs. Who are just itching for a war with China. These people are these people are in fucking power now.
Here's
This
a
is the shit
fun
that we're
one: Department of Government Efficiency. That's where Elon
do-
Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will be, and
yep.
they're just going to cut government programs, and
Yeah.
people are going to be left out on their ass. I mean, if
Yeah.
Appalachia thinks that government hasn't done much for them in their lives, well, get ready for government to do even less, because that's what this administration is going to be all about: minimizing government, maximizing tax cuts, not really giving a shit about working people or the poor, and it's going to be hell on earth. And
Yeah.
we get what we deserve. I think is a cliche I keep running into, and I'm not sure if I agree with it, because I didn't put Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the White House back in
Mm,
2020. I wanted it to be Bernie,
yeah.
and I want it to be Bernie in 2016. So, am I getting what I deserve? I don't think so. I don't think
Right.
so. I'm getting what the DNC gave me by way of losing.
Right.
This is the DNC's incompetence at work. And
100%. This is all.
I'm,
This is really all on Joe Biden. He said that he was going to be a one-term president. He was going to pave the way for a younger generation. He took way too long in 2024 to drop out of the presidential race and actually champion an open primary. Too arrogant, too prideful to stand aside, and he failed everybody. This all goes back on him. I mean, everything that happened was just too little, too late.
yeah,
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 Megan chimes in. Yeah, the Department of Government Efficiency that Elon
yeah.
Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy
Hmm.
are going to head or whatever. It's called Doge. The fucking Doge meme. That's what it stands for. Department of Government Efficiency. This is how fucking far. Like, just bring on the nukes. Just bring them on.
Peter Hegseth as defense secretary is starting to scare me the most. I mean, what the fuck? You need
Yeah.
a veteran of all of the cabinet positions to
Yeah.
have someone with relevant leadership experience in a military context. Like, Department of
Yeah.
Defense is really important.
No kidding. What the fuck is he
So I
doing
don't
there?
know.
Does he have any military experience at
Like,
all? Like, what
I
in the.
mean, no, he served in the army or something, but he's not even close. He was an infantry captain in the Army National Guard and did tours in Afghanistan and Iraq, earning 2 Bronze Stars. And now he's currently the
What did he
co-host
do?
for Fox and Friends Weekend. He's such an asshole.
What
He's
the.
such a fucking
What in
asshole.
the fuck? Like
Buckle up. I
two
mean,
bronze stairs, two bronze stars. Fucking not a forced like no gold stars. Thanks, dude. Fucking it's it it boggles the mind. Yeah, and I agree with Megan. Yeah, this goes back on the entire DNC. Bernie 2016. Yeah, no, and also Elon said tonight that Doge would take open feedback on reversing or expanding cutbacks, mainly aimed to target bureaucracy. So, I mean, that's not someone you really even want in charge of finances to begin with, because it's like you lost more money than any person in history in the shortest amount of time. Like, and not to mention you're being hired by Donald Trump, who's gone bankrupt several times. It's like, how do you bankrupt a casino? You know, it, of course, like he hires the best people, right? We just gotta trust the plan.
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's scary fucking times. And he's obviously not done with his cabinet picks, but yeah, Stephen Miller is one that's just like just the embodiment of pure fucking evil right there. And another one that really got my attention too, which I mean, it checks out. Like I saw this all coming from a fucking mile away, especially when it comes to what came to our stance on Israel and the Israel policy and whatnot. This psychotic Zionist, the hell is her name? Elise Stefanik.
Yeah,
She's going to be
Steve,
the
chief of staff
uh,
or whatever. No, not
no,
chief
no,
of
no. That's
staff.
no. I
The
think that's
best.
Susan Wells. I think that's
At least, yes, it's Susan Wiles. At least definitely
yeah,
United Nations
yeah.
ambassador, right?
Yes, UN ambassador is going to Elise Stefanik, and she's one of these idiots that what I think she went on like CNN or something like that, and it was like, well, the reason the Democrats lost is because they went too far left. This is the party of that listened too much to the radicals, and it's just completely fucking brain dead, just towing the status quo line. Not a brain between her fucking ears, of course, mindlessly fucking
Well, why
uh,
should any lefty
for Israel.
care about what a right winger thinks
No,
of why the left lost? Why should
right.
we care about what conservatives think? Haven't we lost respect for conservatives? I mean, that's one of the big messages I'm working on for an essay tomorrow is never forgive, never forget, never respect. Forgiveness is very overrated. The problem with forgiving people that hurt you
Yeah,
is you're inclined to let them back in your life so that they can hurt you again.
yeah, yeah.
That's the problem with forgiveness.
Yep.
And we keep forgiving the right for being ignorant white trash. When are you going to draw the fucking line and say no more? No, you
Yeah.
are the problem.
Hmm.
Reagan said that government is not the solution to our problems, government is the problem. He was projecting.
Hmm.
Conservatism is the problem. Resistance to change in a world that is defined by change is counterproductive to building a better society. And if you
Yeah.
don't agree with that, it's because you do not understand the global village in which the global economy currently operates.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah. No. Literally. You, I mean, it's in the definition. Conserve. You know.
Right.
You're just keeping things the way they are. Actively, like if you're when you're actively preventing change, the world moves on without you. And while your country, your immediate environment should be changing, you actively holding back is leading to regression. Keeping things like traditional, keeping things the way they are, the status quo and whatnot, you get other people thinking the same way and like, oh no, we need to go back even further. More tax cuts, more deregulation. It's the ratchet effect. Like it goes as far back as what fucking Nixon. Nixon offering uh, a Republican platform, change for the worse, carried on with Ford, and Carter comes along, like does a few improvements. Reagan comes in and just destroys literally everything. We're still recovering from the Reagan years.
I don't even
Uh,
know if we're recovering. I think it's just been a vicious cycle of,
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
down. It's just been a
the
downward spiral into the
ever
seventh
since?
circle of hell,
Yeah,
and now
yeah,
we're in it. In terms
yeah.
of the government, its efficacy in helping America, yeah, there have been certain improvements here and there, but by and large, the wealth gap has gotten worse, and
Yeah.
income inequality is some. Actually, they're two different things, but everything's gotten worse in terms of the welfare. Like we did those charts last time about
Hmm.
showing how much better of a life overall the baby boomers had than millennials, and how
Yeah,
baby
without a
boomers
doubt.
have really screwed up this country.
Yep.
And they, I think, must be held accountable. I think
Yeah.
that's the great creative question is how do we hold the baby boomers accountable for what they did wrong? And I don't
Yeah.
think we need to distinguish between baby boomer conservatives and baby boomer liberals because the liberals didn't do enough to stop the conservatives.
Yeah.
So it's
It's
their
the
fault too.
it's the ratchet effect. Clinton came in, slowed down the spiral into hell, didn't stop it. Bush came along, sped it up. Obama came in, put a wrench in it. The ratchet effect, fucking more descent towards fascism under
Yeah.
Republican years, and then it
Yeah.
stops when the Democrats run off, and then
Well,
pick
that's
right
what
back up
a
with
lot of
Trump, and
conservatives,
stop with Biden. Yeah,
Republicans think that Trump is the second coming of Reagan. He's not. He's the
no,
second coming of George Wallace. This is not Reagan. This is not even Nixon. This is a
right.
mutation of that party. And people who don't agree with that do not understand who is running the party. Yeah, Trump gained ground in a lot of these groups, okay? Those people in those groups who voted Republican have no idea who Stephen Miller is.
Yeah,
If they knew who Stephen Miller was, if they knew who Steve Bannon was, if they knew who Elise Stefanik and Kristi Noem and who's the Pete Hegseth,
yeah.
if they knew who these people were, they would not have voted for Donald Trump.
Brian
But they
Hook.
didn't do any of their research.
Yeah, Brian Hook, Bill Haggerty. They're well, actually, one of those. I think Brian Hook was going to be Secretary of State, and then ended up going to Marco Rubio. But yeah, no, it, it's a media bubble. It's they're stuck in a silo, in an information silo, where like all the information they get are from the same exact fucking sources. They have no broad scope of information. Like when it comes to different biases in the media that they consume or anything like that.
Speaking of media, I got a good segment from Morning Joe that we should react to.
Sure.
Because this guy, Seth Moulton, is supposed to be a Democratic Party star. So let's hear what he has to say. Oh God. It's a problem with hot corners.
Immediate cancellation, you have the discussion, then you work through the problems and you get to a point where, maybe both sides aren't happy, but I've never seen a mediation where people leave where both sides are happy.
And most importantly for Democrats right now, we get to a point where we have views that are more in touch with the majority of Americans, which means we can start winning elections again. And when we get to Congress in January and the Republicans control every lever of power at Washington, from the Supreme Court to the White House, the Senate and the House, we actually have a chance with rational policies that are in line with the views of most Americans of winning over some Republican votes to prevent the most harmful aspects of the Trump agenda, which absolutely
You're
will attack
great,
trans
dude.
kids and minorities and others across America.
Loser.
Wait, back it up. Back this shit up.
Today, winning over some Republican votes to prevent the most harmful aspects of the Trump agenda, which absolutely will attack trans kids and minorities and others across America who deserve our support, who are only going to find support in the Democratic Party today. That's
If
why
this
I'm
is
so
like
proud to be a Democrat
this
and
is
why
really
my
like the
voting
only hope. Especially if they don't take back the House, or even if they do, they are going to have to require Republican votes to push it through. But with the Senate the way it is right now, fat fucking chance.
Republicans are going to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
The Republicans don't need the Democrats. They're going to do whatever they want.
I mean,
The only thing that's preventing them is the House, and they're not. It's not going to be hard to.
well,
get
right,
the shit
right,
to the
right
House.
now the Republicans are that aren't entirely on board with MAGA, which there are quite a few in the Senate. Fortunately, there's going to be a big battle for the Senate Majority Leader position in the near future. You can't. It's so frustrating because they're going to have like Democrats are going to have to require votes in order to get anything passed, and it's just not going to happen. Like the hope that you're gonna have people crossing party aisles, that shit's in the past. That shit doesn't really
know.
even happen much anymore.
No,
Like
no.
if anything, if like the only bipartisan bills that typically get passed and have been getting passed the past several years are fucking aid packages to Israel and increases into the defense budget.
Right.
That's it. And maybe raises for the fucking Senate and the Congress as well. It's like that's pretty much fucking it. That's all you can find
Putting
fucking
Congress and my
bipartisan support on.
long history of advocacy including being the leading voice in Congress for getting gay veterans the rights that they deserve when they get out of the military or were pushed out of the military. I mean, I have those positions because I'm so proud to be a Democrat and proud to be the party that stands up for civil rights. But if we can't even stand up for civil discourse, then we're just going to keep losing elections, and a lot of people in America are going to get hurt.
Congressman, good morning. Great to have you with us.
It's not about standing up for civil discourse. It's understanding that the side that you're fucking opposed to, the opposing party, does not support civil fucking discourse to begin with. You know how fucking hard it is for fucking actual like left wing like independent media shows and whatnot that actually have sizable followings and whatnot to actually get on a Republican or conservative that's not a fucking maniac.
Yeah.
These people are fucking insane.
Yeah.
Get with the fucking times. You guys are fucking acting like it's fucking like you guys just lost the House in 2010. It's like we have fucking moved on. Understand your opposition.
Yeah, it's pretty insane to think that you can reason with someone who has been proven to be unreasonable. I mean, it's just this classic. I guess maybe for appearances, they have to keep up appearances and act as if they're interested in bipartisanship because that's the only way they're going to survive politically, I guess.
Fucking appearances don't mean shit now. Fucking like the country is going down the goddamn toilet because you guys didn't fight. What happened to when we fight, we win?
Yeah, I know.
Well, we didn't fucking win, so I guess there wasn't even a fucking fight to begin with.
Well, we talked about it in our last episode that if you had to pick one slogan from Kamala's campaign that was supposed to be the center of the campaign, it was "When we fight, we win." Now, if you look at what she actually did after the convention, didn't look like much of a fight to me.
No.
Looked like a continuation of the party trying to include centrists and anti-Trump Republicans. By the way, she did worse with anti-Trump Republicans than both Biden and Hillary. So good call on campaigning with Liz Cheney and bringing the country together. Garbage. Enough of that crap. Let's grow up. It's a fight. It's a fight. It's not a race. It's a fight. And you lost. Now it's time to pick yourself off the mat and put in a new fighter. Because this one just got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, listen to the Intercept. Listen to the voices in the media that are saying Bernie would have won. Bernie was right. Fucking learn why he was right. Learn why he was so popular with a lot of the base that you fucking lost to Donald Trump.
The swing states, although many, as we said earlier, were very close still, in line with the polling, is about much more than the one trans sports ad that aired and the one trans prisoner ad that had Kamala Harris in her own words. So as you sit and look through the data and you look at even in urban areas, even in Boston, in Detroit, and Philly, that people move toward Donald Trump in ways they haven't previously. How are you diagnosing this, and where do you begin as a Democrat to say, guys, here's where we kind of get ourselves out of the wilderness? What are those first steps?
It's a great question. I mean, we begin by doing more listening and less preaching, listening to American voters. Because, I raised the trans issue as just one example of an issue where Democrats are out of touch. And if you look at, our views on the economy, for example, I mean, we have a good economic plan that will continue to bring down inflation. Trump's plan is to put in tariffs and tax cuts for the rich that will clearly raise prices for the majority of Americans, and yet Americans don't trust us on the economy. Trump has a radical proposal to disrupt millions of American families and communities by deporting hundreds of thousands of immigrants. And if he gets through, if he succeeds in that radical immigration agenda, it would be terrible for America, but yet Americans trust the Republicans more on immigration.
Yeah,
and,
right here.
Can you pause it? Able to listen to Americans and
that little image right there.
Agenda, it will be terrible for America,
like
but yet
just to get an image for everybody right here.
Sorry,
it's all good.
Of immigrants, and if he succeeds in that radical immigration agenda, it is terrible for America, but yet Americans trust.
Okay.
Borders are
you crazy bitch.
Thomas Homan is a fucking sociopathic lunatic, and the fact that he's going to be overseeing the border is just unfathomable. Honestly, like the fact that like so many contractors are on standby, and now they're basically like they're being given the green light to build all these detention centers for immigrants to be rounded up and kept in, because it's like you're gonna be processing millions of people at once. Like, how long is that going to fucking take? Do you even care? Do these people even fucking care? They don't. It's going to get fucking dark real fucking quick. Like, there's not going to be any contact with these people. Like, where are they even going to be sent? It's not like any other country is going to be like, oh yeah, just fucking send them over here. It's just like, where the fuck does this lead? Mike Waltz, National Security Advisor.
And that's because we haven't been able to listen to Americans and actually, understand them at a cultural level. So I think that a big part of this election was just a cultural mismatch where they look at the Democratic Party and feel that we're out of touch. And look, the same people that have been trying to cancel me over just trying to raise this debate on a variety of issues, they're the same folks who said there's no problem at the border, we can just ignore it. They're the same people who attacked me when I said Biden should step down as one of the first members of Congress to do so, to give us a chance in this election. These are the same people who told us to defund the police. If the radical left continues to define the Democratic Party, then
she didn't fucking mention even fucking once.
Here it is. This is the fucking.
Who told us to defund the police. If the radical left continues to define the
I swear to fucking God, dude, the fucking dishonesty, dude. The reason he's fucking spouting this shit because he knows he's going to get the fucking attention of the party leaders. And he's going to get like he's gonna get like a little hand claps and whatnot, a good pat on the head, like you're such a good boy. You're such a good boy going after left. Oh, you want a treat? You want a fucking promotion? You want some funding to your next fucking campaign? Yeah, fucking shit on the left more. Fucking lie about them. I swear to fucking God, they will never let a fucking progressive obtain the kind of power that any fucking modicum of power, like even remotely, even close to the White House. They will fucking undermine them every single fucking time. God damn it, so fucking transparent.
And Mike Barnacle, this isn't like Monday morning quarterbacking. I mean, this is stuff that we've been talking about for years. Willie and I, time and time again, have been talking about the smash and grabs in California, the ability that people are able to steal up to $1,000 of merchandise and not even be charged with a felony. We talked about the insanity of those laws.
No, we're not tough enough on crime, apparently.
Justice reform, that it only made Americans less safe. It only devalued property rights. And we can look at the stats, just like inflation, and see that inflation has gone down, but groceries still cost more today than they did 4 years ago. We can look at the stats and see that crime goes down. People still go into the CVS or Walgreens, and they see that, in a lot of places, like New York,
people to go to the polls last week about his two daughters. And I looked at it as a father concerned about the safety of the issue going on right now in the past few days. And that's the appointment of various people to Donald Trump's cabinet.
All right, we're covering this. Let me do this guy here. So this is a guy named Jola. So he's already got a weird online name. I don't know if he's trying to protect his identity or what. But he is kind of a classic liberal, neoliberal, I would say, and I would argue incrementalist. He would probably take issue with me calling him an incrementalist, but he's soft. This is the kind of guy that I don't think has any business influencing the culture of the Democratic Party. You want to be part of the Democratic Party, that's cool. But I don't think this dude has ever won anything in his life other than argument. And I don't think he is the type of person that's going to teach anyone about winning anything.
When I talk about Bernie here, I do want to say I don't like it when anyone comes out right after a loss and tries to claim that their own pet political issue is the number one reason someone lost. It's clear many voters were subjected to too much disinformation and misinformation. The right-wing propaganda machine is the most complex and powerful it's ever been in human history.
Yes.
And there's huge hurdles to face. But I want to make sure I take everyone's perspectives and try to take the best messaging advice from everyone, because we want to make sure our messaging is really tight and on point. So that's going to be my goal with this channel. But here's my first reactions to what Bernie said about Kamala's loss. If you find anything I say insightful or useful, or if you like my approach at all, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Even if you don't, we want to have more conversations. Please join that conversation. We need to be a part of what's happening right now. We cannot afford to wait. It should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party which has abandoned working class people would find the working class has abandoned them. First, it was the white working class, and now it is Latino and black workers as well. That's a little bit weird to me. And Bernie's been criticized in the past for abandoning other demographic groups, and I feel like he's kind of admitting here that his politics was based around the white working class. If he's going to say first it was the white working class and now they abandoned Latino and black workers as well, while the Democratic Party leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want.
No, he's talking about the democratic shift that happened in the white working class first and then happened in this election.
Yes.
He's not admitting that he abandoned these groups with his rhetoric or anything like that.
Yeah, no,
Weird.
like back in 2016, the white working class is what gave the presidency to Donald Trump, and now this election they got a lot more support from black voters, but especially Latinos, Latino men in particular. That's
Yep.
what he's referring to here.
What was like
Democrats,
42%, right?
I think it was
Latino men?
I think 60% Latino men. Actually, no. No. You're right. I think it was like 40 ended up being 42. I think it was actually a majority of Latino men that ended up going Trump, but it was Latino women. I think that was like 36%. So there's like a big discrepancy.
change, and they're right. And that's really interesting as well, considering Joe Biden's presidency was very FDR-like. So if we talked about the New Deal, Biden did triple American manufacturing. We spent tons on infrastructure, on building green energy, new jobs, wages for the working class rose more during Biden's presidency than any other presidency since FDR, I'm pretty sure. The middle class and the lower class benefited a lot from Biden's presidency. In fact, I would argue that Joe Biden's entire model was based off of a New Deal mentality of proving people, of proving
Not
to people
even
that government can do good
remotely
things, and proving
fucking
to people that government
close,
can serve.
dude. Like just because okay, like Kyle Kalinske made this a great point. Yeah, like domestically and economically, Joe Biden's definitely one of the better presidents of like our fucking lifetimes in modern times for when it comes to Democrats and whatnot. But to say that he like implemented change on an FDR New Deal style level is fucking beyond ridiculous. He not even remotely close. For one, like he had like what like two or three major pieces of economic legislation, maybe four, but like a couple of them, all of them, I would even argue, were watered the fuck down and stifled by Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema,
Yeah.
who are not being bullied nearly fucking enough like they fucking deserve. I should mention.
The working class. And that's one reason real wages have done so well in comparison to inflation. So yeah, Bernie says, now you're abandoning the Latino and black workers as well. What did the Democratic Party do to uniquely abandon Latino and black workers? So you can either look at this as a statement about actual material and actual values. For example, this policy affected these people. But I do want to open up my mind and everyone else's minds, especially if you're not a progressive, to the idea where we just had an election where Joe Biden's policy was phenomenal. So from a liberal perspective, you would say, hey, this policy was great. There were huge gains in these different categories and with these demographics. But people don't believe the economy's good because there was a different prevailing narrative that Trump was able to sell to people. You can either say, hey, Bernie, the Democratic Party is for the working class, or you can think about FDR and FDR's rhetoric and imagine for a second, it's not just about the policy they have done in the party. It's about the narrative building the party has done. So when Bernie repeats this, I feel like Bernie's giving
I
a
agree with
lesson
that.
to the Democratic Party on what it sounds like to be principled and have a consistent narrative and how it sounds if you truly believe in something and how you convince people that you believe in something. It's wild that Elon Musk and Donald Trump have been able to be cosplay working class successfully, but the Democratic Party, who's actually doing policies to help the working class, seems so elitist. And that's
Yeah,
probably
so
because
that's the
Democratic
thing.
strategists all
The thing about that is like, yeah, there's not a narrative there, and they're not championing things that they believe in because they don't actually fucking believe in any of it.
Right.
They don't actually believe in like bold progressive policies because
Like
their
Medicare for all.
yeah, because their donors don't fucking want that.
Right.
Why would they give tax breaks to the working class, and then like also get like increase the taxes of anybody making over 400 grand a year? That's not in the interest of the wealthy. That's not in the interest of the elite. They're
Donor class.
like, yeah, they want deregulation. They want tax cuts. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. It's that motherfucking simple. And like building a narrative off of like delivering for the working class, it's not in the interest of the people that the fucking DNC, the Democratic Party, actually serve.
all were pushing like Kamala in different directions. They didn't let her go against billionaires too much. They stopped her from talking about like the price gouging that much. They made her do a more Liz Cheney-centric campaign, which I'm not fully against. But expanding Medicare to cover at-home costs was really good. They didn't talk about it enough, and the media didn't cover it. And the overall narrative wasn't very consistent. That's what matters right now. Policy did not matter for this election. All that mattered was that people believed this.
Because you didn't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could have made it.
It could have
an
mattered.
issue. Could have made it mattered a lot. People
Yeah.
say you have to choose between vibes and policy. That's bullshit.
Yeah, and fucking like Trump won on vibes. That like he, like it or not, fucking people like pay attention at a surface level. People don't pay attention to shows like ours. They fucking buy whatever the media feeds them, and they go based off of like their fucking their work circles, their friend groups, their fucking news feed, because they're fed fucking an insipid amount of bullshit every single fucking day, and it's not even remotely based in like what policies are good or what the accomplishments of the Biden administration have done. Fucking that's for fucking political nerds. That shit's not actually getting to the fucking eyes and ears of the common American voter. That's what fucking happened.
certain narrative. And if Americans believe they're doing bad, they're going to feel bad about it. And they're going to feel bad about whoever's in charge. And when you're anti-incumbency, you need to separate yourself from that incumbent president, which is Joe Biden. And if you're going to swap out Joe Biden for another candidate right before the election, you should have probably picked someone. I know we didn't have much time, but you probably should have picked someone who can actually stand against that incumbent and offer real deviation if it's going to be an anti-incumbency election. There's a chance Democrats could have ran anyone. And Donald Trump was trying to lose the election. Donald Trump ran one of the worst campaigns in American history. Donald Trump ran on zero policy.
What?
Kamala Harris attached herself to Biden.
Right. She
That
never
was
differentiated. She was
yeah,
on The View and said, no, I wouldn't have done anything differently.
No,
You know
fucking
what?
like her biggest mistake was that fucking Biden dropped out so that way the Democrats could put in someone different, someone who can beat Trump and actually differentiate themselves from Biden. But she couldn't fucking do that. She didn't do that. She made it a point not to do that, not to drag his legacy because she's his fucking vice president.
Right.
But
Well, and she's gotten as far as she has in politics by playing the establishment game and waiting
Sure,
her turn.
yeah,
And
it was
she
got
kind of lucky with her being.
She
appointed
might as
vice
well have.
president.
She might as well have been an incumbent, honestly. Because
Yeah.
that's how everybody looked at her because she didn't.
The big issue that I think might have won her the election in hindsight. I know we've talked about how foreign policy doesn't affect much. If she had come out guns blazing against Israel and Netanyahu and says Israel is going to oust Netanyahu and he will stand trial for war crimes, or we will not sell them weapons again for whatever X number of years. If she had gotten aggressive against Israel, I think she might have rallied a lot of people that stayed home.
Just
Because this analysis that
yeah,
this election loss is anything less than a result of the Democrats not getting out their base is just simply ignoring the vibe of the convention that did not spill over into the home stretch of the campaign. I mean, everybody wants to forget what she said, what her strategy was. She was just floating along. People didn't see her as a leader.
right. Yeah, no, like she didn't.
But
She didn't
still won.
lead-
So there's a chance any
she didn't lead on any issues. She didn't champion any progressive issues and stuff. It's like we talked about with Matt. With Tim Walz, fucking, he was like a very successful governor with a lot of progressive policies.
Right.
It's like, what does she actually believe in? Is she going to actually like push these things? And like you mentioned her being aggressive on the Israel, like yeah, that would have made a fucking big ass difference because if you like poll a lot, if you poll Americans, a majority of them believe like yeah, we should condition aid to Israel. We should do an arms embargo because they're fucking committing war crimes. It
Right.
would have made a big difference.
Yes.
But
Especially in
or just
Michigan.
being aggressive on any issue and actually
Right.
showing guts and a spine would have made a difference. And
Well,
that's what
one of the
people want.
things that she could have easily gotten louder about was student loan debt because she could have
Yeah.
differentiated from Biden, say he didn't go far enough. I'm going to go further.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect Joe Biden. I respect that he thought the political calculus was such that he couldn't push for more student loan debt relief. Well, I'm going to push for a lot more, like 2 to 3x more.
I don't even
You know what I mean?
remember her
Like that would have gotten
campaigning.
out younger voters
Yeah, I don't even remember
and
her
differentiated
campaign
from Biden.
Exactly. Do you even remember once, like during her campaign, where she even brought up like student loan debt forgiveness at all? It's like
It was about I'm from a middle class family. I worked at McDonald's. Oh, so we did the I'm with her thing that we did with Hillary. It's all about her. No.
God,
This is the
yeah.
problem with the first woman president is the expectations, the pressure is so high. It's like I feel
Yeah.
bad for Kamala in a way because she was just overwhelmed by all the forces that be. And she
Yeah.
never really had a chance of doing her own campaign her way. She inherited all
Right.
those Biden people, and they just told her what to say and do.
That's exactly, and they just steered her into fucking failure. Had no time to excuse me, run a proper campaign and actually establish herself and like have a consistent narrative that she could harp away at. Like it just like only 3 months to do what should be done over the course of a year plus. It just wasn't enough, and it's like you have no one to blame but Joe Biden for that, and they threw her under the fucking bus too. It's the press secretary was asked, well, I mean Joe Biden like I forget what she was asked, but she fucking backhanded the journalist who asked her, and threw Kamala Harris under the bus as well by saying, "Well, Joe Biden's the only person who's ever beaten Donald Trump." It's like that's supposed to fucking mean something. Like for crying out fucking loud, it's his fault that we got here to be. Well, I mean it's actually the DNC's fault. It's fucking for undermining Bernie Sanders and all that shit. But like.
Well, you got to put it on the DNC for picking Kamala to begin with, because they should have seen that was going to be the successor. I mean, they should have seen and also too, someone that was capable of running the country, because that motherfucker could have keeled over.
Right.
Like Joe Biden could have had a heart attack or fallen down the stairs or something.
Right. Yeah. From what I've heard,
it needed to be someone that was capable of running the country, and they went with Kamala.
Yeah.
No, it was the wrong choice. There were other options.
Yeah, exactly. Like Trump didn't win as much as Kamala Harris and the DNC lost. That's for damn sure. I even heard that they even wanted to do an open primary,
An open convention, yeah.
An open convention, but couldn't because immediately. Well, it was immediately after Biden dropped out that he endorsed.
Yeah.
Yeah, just within the
Just took it
same.
over.
Same
Well, there was
day.
also an issue with the campaign financing. All the money that they had already raised
That as well
could only be used by Kamala. If they had brought in
Right.
a new nominee, they would have had to start fundraising from scratch.
I forgot about that. Either way, it still goes back to Joe Biden because he should have dropped out fucking
He
several months
shouldn't have
before
run
that.
for
Yeah,
re-election.
exactly.
Should have said, I just saw a doctor, and the doctor said that I can't deal with the stress, so I'm going to, here we go,
Yeah.
Kamala, or whoever they could have appointed. Like,
Right.
that 2020 VP search was just,
Yeah.
I don't know, it was just kind of pathetic. It wasn't, again, we're thinking about inclusivity, and it's got to be a
Catering,
woman.
pandering.
And it's just like, pandering. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, who's the best person? Because this person needs to be ready to go.
Yeah. No. He should have.
Biden could die between now and inauguration day. Like,
Yeah.
come on. Like, this is
Yeah.
one of the more important vice presidential nominees in American history, because the guy who's at the top of the ticket might actually die.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that.
Yeah, Kamala
They
Harris
didn't
should
think of
have
it that way.
been a Supreme Court justice instead.
I mean, she should have been nothing. She's not talented.
Democrat would have lost. But still, if you're going to do good policies in government, you're not going to get rewarded just for the good policies. You need to pound it home with good messaging and have a narrative, have a reason why you're doing it, have a fight. Just like FDR, although there were some problematic parts of FDR's New Deal, which you could also say about some policies that progressives have done to build infrastructure, because FDR played with the Dixiecrats a lot, for example. So in terms of racism, FDR was not always the best. But FDR did have a narrative. He did know exactly what to speak about at what moment. FDR was a progressive liberal, but he spoke like a populist when he needed to speak like a populist to make sure he could maintain political power. And that was very beneficial. But Bernie continues today, while the very rich are doing phenomenally well, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and we have more income and wealth inequality than ever before. That would have been a good narrative against Elon Musk and Donald Trump, but the Harris campaign did not pound that home. The richest people in the world buying the White House, and the Harris campaign did not pound that home. They focused on messaging the voters did not care about, like January 6th and Trump being a fascist. The voters did not vote on that at all. Unbelievably, real inflation accounted for weekly wages for the average American worker
It's interesting that he's criticizing the counterattack strategy, because, I think pointing out that Trump is cozying up with Elon Musk and all these other weird billionaires would have maybe helped, but this loss has more to do with Kamala not offering anything and actually relying on that kind of messaging of just, we're not Trump. That's what the cop-out was with the vibes choice, and not putting forth policy solutions to make people's lives better.
Right.
They just said that we're gonna not be Trump.
We
Who do you
will not
want-
go
we
back.
talked about it last time. Who do you want in your living room for the next 4 years, us or Trump? People are like, yeah, well, Trump's not so bad.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, like I mean, it even makes more sense now. Like the campaign slogan, "We will not go back." It's just like, well, are you taking us forward or what? Or are we just staying still? Because it kind of seems like that. Like you're offering no change. You're not differentiating yourself. If we're not going back, why aren't we going forward? For fuck's sake.
Well, I think. Well, I mean,
Are lower now than they were 50 years ago. That probably is true. Although weekly wages, inflation accounted, wages are probably lower than they were 50 years ago. That is before, like Ronald Reagan, for example. Reagan is one of the reasons wages went down so much. His presidency, Ronald Reagan's presidency, is one of the reasons for that. So that's probably true. But wages are a lot higher now under Biden than they were under Obama and under Trump and under Bush. So he's true. That is true right there. Today, despite an explosion in technology and worker productivity, many young people will have a worse standard of living than their parents, and many of them worry that artificial intelligence and robotics will make a bad situation even worse. And yeah, with Donald Trump being in charge and no regulations being passed at all, artificial intelligence and robotics are going to go crazy in the next 4 years, which is probably the last thing we needed. We did not need that. That is the opposite direction we should be going in. Today, despite spending far more per capita than any other countries, we remain the only wealthy nation not to do healthcare for all. And it's not even about just doing these things. Like I said, it's about the narrative building. It's about showing people you believe in something. People want to believe in something. And we shouldn't give up narratives to these neo-fascists and neo-technocrats, autocrats, whatever word you want to use. We shouldn't give up power and the narrative to them because the Democratic Party is too split. Are you going to be the responsible liberal party? Are you going to be the populist party? Are you going to be the good policy party, like a New Deal style? All right, well, what are you going to do? You have to have a reason and like you have to have a method to your messaging if you're a party.
Yeah,
and the Democratic Party did not do that. Narratives matter to this election. Narratives are all that matter to this election. And that's going to continue being a thing. That's how a reality...
So I agree that narratives are a big part of this election, and that Kamala, there is a universe in which Kamala could have won, or at least had a much better chance of winning, and it's going the opposite direction that she went after the convention, and turning out the base. Right. And this guy talks about narratives. Let's see if he gets into some sort of judgment over the narratives that the DNC chose.
Right.
Because it sounds like he's coming close, if not fully making excuses for them.
Right. Like, I mean, the narratives it was all scattershot. It was inconsistent, and like every step of the way, they showed that they were scared of their own shadows. Like, they didn't know how to fully counter the media criticisms that they were receiving, and effective enough a way that made people actually respect them. Like nobody respected the Democrats this campaign cycle. It's just like how do you like you should be able to respond with you should have something to fall back on. You should have like some sort of consistent message. You should show that you actually have a spine when it comes to this shit.
A TV star like Donald Trump can win the presidency after passing no policy, having no vision for America, doing nothing but just yelling and crying nonstop. Crying about everything, crying about literally everything to a pathetic point. This reality TV star is able to create an alternative reality for voters to vote off of. But Bernie says, will the big money interest and well-paid consultants who control the Democratic Party learn any real lessons from this disastrous campaign? Will they understand the pain and political alienation that tens of millions of Americans are experiencing? Do they have any ideas as to how we can take on the increasingly powerful oligarchy which has so much economic and political power? Probably not. So Bernie is... I read this at first and thought, why is Bernie coming out to say this? It's probably self-serving as well. Bernie's probably mad, again, that the party abandoned his form of politics. But Bernie knows how to create a narrative. That's why Bernie was successful in his limited runs for president with only small dollar donations. There is a method to why populism works. And FDR is a good model for how to reject fascism and authoritarianism. So I think we can learn from this in a way. Just if you're a seasoned politician and you're running against Republicans, you need to set a narrative. You need to at least show that you believe in something. Because although Biden did pass the policy to, help people, Biden got the policy done. But he did not successfully pound home that narrative. He did not have good slogans. He did not have good branding. And that is ultimately what mattered the most.
Most
Americans are not policy junkies. They don't even know what policies are.
So, like, anybody who's running for president on the Democratic side needs to be asked, like, the following question. What do you believe in that separates yourself from what you would deliver to your donors? Do you have any beliefs that aren't also the beliefs that your donors believe in, which is why which is the reason for your backing monetarily from these entities, from these special interests, because that's all it's ever been. you're just bending over for these big money special interests and corporate lobbyists and whatnot, and these super PACs to do what they want. So, like when you're actually pushed on bold progressive ideas, which the majority of people actually want, you you just either dodge it or give some sort of flowery non-answer because you don't want to piss off your donors. You don't want like because that's your bread and butter.
Trump voters are just now Googling what a tariff is, and they probably still don't know what it means. So yeah, Trump had people run an amazing campaign for him. Even Russia was pitching in. Well, that's the thing, too. When you're fighting a propaganda war, and they're sending propaganda through text message, pretending to be Kamala Harris, pretending to be the opposing candidate, and they have individual information profiles of every person, and they know exactly how to get you to not vote or to vote for Trump, they can just pound that propaganda in your phone. No number of door knockers is going to be able to heal that issue. You can knock on every door in America, but if they go back on their phone and see a completely different narrative, they are going to like bypass that human conversation and bypass that human experience and go right to what they see on their phone. And if you don't have someone speaking in an authoritative manner, so like when Kamala goes on The View and she's like, well, I don't know if I do anything different from Biden. Even if you don't do anything different from Biden, you have to understand politics. It's about influence. It's about giving these answers that people want to hear. Like Donald Trump just says what people want to hear. That's all he does. He doesn't have a real position for anything. It's just say what people want to hear. Say what you think people want to hear. What people do you need to get power? Say.
I don't know if Trump is saying what people want to hear. He's just saying it with confidence. And he's just recycling a lot of modern day Republican talking points that have been around for 15 years. But I do agree that Kamala did not come across as decisive. And if you recall, in 2004, when John Kerry lost to George W. Bush, that election was about decisiveness. And that was Karl Rove's greatest accomplishment, was getting W reelected, because a vast majority of the country was against the war. But Karl Rove's campaign for reelecting W was arguing that you might not agree with the war, but do you trust W to finish it properly, or do you trust John Kerry to finish it properly? And obviously America's going to go with the tough guy.
God.
What they want to hear. That's all you need to know. So in those calculations, Kamala and Biden have been amazing with policy and actual governing and governance. So like actually governing our country. But they have been terrible when it comes to messaging and overall performance politically. And politically is a completely different conversation.
Giving them way too much credit, honestly.
It's called Jordan Show and Tell.
I love Jordan Schlansky on Conan. I love Conan. Conan's amazing.
Conan's great.
Yeah, Conan's amazing. He's the best. It's too bad he doesn't have the Tonight Show. He should.
He really fucking should.
What a joke.
Right.
So safe. Come on.
Yeah.
Man. Jimmy Fallon over Conan O'Brien. It would have been cool, too, because Conan's a Boston guy. And he's a classic, like, Irish Catholic, like, wise ass. And, you know, anyway.
Yeah.
So that's Jola. I mean, he keeps harping on the word narrative as if Kamala didn't have a narrative. And I don't know if that's true. I think they just didn't choose good narratives.
Yeah, it was weak. Like
I don't think there was a specificity to her narratives that people really believe that she knew what she was talking about and that she would deliver. Let's face it, the demand for a female candidate to convince the American public that she's going to deliver on her promises is greater than a male candidate, which means you need to come even harder at being authoritative in your tone.
Really
you need
prove
to be
yourself.
Even like kind of a bitch.
Yes.
Given the results of this election, don't we think that Kamala the bitch would have had a better chance of success? I mean, this election couldn't have gone much worse. That's what I keep coming back to in this analysis is people like, oh, they lost. It wasn't close.
No.
This election wasn't close.
No. Mm-mm. Yeah.
This was a series of several fuck-ups. This was not just one little decision here or there. This was an institutional and collective failure by the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Can you imagine if, like, Kamala just took absolutely zero shit and actually went on the offense more often than not and actually had snappy comebacks? It actually was not afraid to get dirty
Right.
and fucking just like start spats with just with
What if she called Elon
naysayers.
Musk a douchebag?
Yeah,
Like, you know,
fucking
like
what?
what if like
Yeah,
these douchebag weirdo freaks that he's got like 11 kids? I'm sure his kids hate him. I'm sure he's
yeah,
an
like
awful dad. Like you could be a little bit of a wise ass and you don't talk
for
down to the
real.
MAGA trash necessarily. You talk down to the MAGA luminaries, to the
Yeah,
MAGA names.
they're
You
so.
take on them. Like Vivek Ramaswamy is a freaking douchebag.
Mm-hmm.
Like that guy is a quintessential know-it-all. Like, worked really hard at public speaking because he has no natural talent, and that's the best he can do.
Yeah,
That's the best version of Vivek Ramaswamy on camera that could be produced.
yeah. Honestly, it's like it, if the if the best you can do, like the Democrats really need to get over just this image of looking just above the fray, and well, fucking like the Michelle Obama esque, like when they go low, we go high. It's just like
We
no,
stay high, yeah.
no, get down to the fucking dirt
Well, I thought
and
that's
then
what they were
show
going to
them that
do
they
at the
belong
convention.
there.
Like she specifically, Michelle Obama specifically did not mention that slogan at the convention. It wasn't used once. I was on high alert for when they go low, we stay high. I was on high alert for that throughout the convention and the entire campaign.
Hmm.
Never once happened, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But the tone was still bipartisanship. See, that's the thing that we got to kill
hmm
in the culture of the Democratic Party is this commitment to compromise, this commitment to bipartisanship. No, if we kick the shit out of the Republican Party, which in 4 years we'll have the opportunity to do because things are going to be so bad,
hmm
then we can actually make some big change happen because we need both houses of Congress and we need the presidency and we need as many state legislatures and governorships as we can. And then we need to find a way to get these judges off of the Supreme Court. We need to
Yeah.
cross the line and either pack the court and or impeach current justices, and I think probably both. I mean, this is war. This
Yeah.
is war. I don't care about the Constitution or the constitutionality of what I just proposed. The fate of our democracy hangs in the balance, and I can't be bothered by political convention. I mean,
Yeah,
the GOP
me
isn't
neither.
bothered by political convention. Why should we be?
Yeah, and here's the thing about that too. I think I've been seeing this kind of floating around a little bit too. Um, Either Trump is going to step down and let JD Vance take the presidency around the midterms, maybe after the midterms. So that way, JD Vance has the opportunity to be president for 10 years instead of 8. And like all they have to do is just rig it. All they have to do is just like, I mean, there's still a chance that the Democrats do take power again in 2028, but it's just like if either Vance or Trump is in charge, like, are they going to certify it? Are they going to see through that the election is actually fair and it carries through like it's actually like designed to do? It like either that or like does JD Vance invoke the 25th Amendment to remove Trump from power himself? And is Trump's sons going to be behind that because they were the ones behind JD Vance?
I don't
Like,
think
what
JD
exa-
Vance, for his own safety, would backstab Trump. That would
Maybe.
cost him his and his family's safety for the rest of their lives in this country if he were to backstab Trump.
Right.
He's playing a dangerous game, man. I don't know if he recognizes what he signed up for
Right.
by getting behind Trump in the vice presidential slot. I don't know if he realized that there was a good chance that Trump was going to win, and that now the future of MAGA is
Well-
in JD Vance's hands.
Well, either way,
Which
I
is
mean,
hard to believe.
he probably has a lot to fear when it comes to like the Trump base and whatnot. But like, if you spend any amount of time around Trump at all, you realize he's a fucking idiot. He's just a
Yes.
bumbling fucking buffoon.
Yes, he's a fool.
Like that's exactly how it was during his first term. Everybody who was around him who wasn't like a fucking an ass kissing 100% just zombie
Ventra.
fucking yeah one loyalist, you know. Eh, People who were smart enough to see it's just like, oh, this guy shouldn't be in power. Like I was like this is completely wrong. Like I, I I mean, you're already seeing it with a lot of Republicans right now. People who start like are completely on board with Trump, like especially in the Senate, like I was talking about earlier. So it really is anybody's guess, but either way, like I don't think we should underestimate JD Vance for a second.
No,
You know
no,
who's
absolutely not.
you know who's your age?
Yeah,
Yeah, like he's just a young guy.
I know some
It's
people who
crazy.
know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know that world of Yale law and Harvard law and those fucking douchebags.
Right.
I know those elite circles. I'm proud to say I'm not part of those elite circles,
Right.
but
My,
I brush up against them. Shall we say?
yeah, my grandma is I believe she's a registered Republican, and she voted for John McCain. I think she voted for Mitt Romney as well. Um, I think she voted for Trump in 2016, but I think she either ended up sitting out or voting for Biden in 2020. And I remember her telling me how like Trump is a fucking idiot and it should not be president again. But she specifically told me like JD Vance especially terrifies me. And I mean that's a lot coming from her. You know, she pays attention for sure, and I don't blame her whatsoever because just looking at the history of this guy and just like his inclinations towards fascism and just undermining the Constitution of the rule and law, but like putting like a, uh, a strategic spin on it, like coming off as someone who's cunning and smart and witty. That's dangerous. It's just a
Right.
dangerous fucking mix. He's just a bag of fucking danger.
Scapegoat politics. We're about to see that in scapegoat policy. Mass deportations are coming.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll see a federal abortion ban. That'll be crazy if we do. It'll also be
Yeah.
interesting to see how Gavin Newsom is supposedly preparing California for a second Trump term. I don't know what that really is going to entail.
Right.
Do
What the
you?
fuck does that even mean? Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
what like
Like if the
how?
president wants to come to California, the president's coming to California. I mean, I wish we
Yeah.
could do something about it, but we can't.
What are you like? What is he even fucking trying to prove? I don't understand.
Well, he
like,
wants to be the next guy. I mean, he wants to
Yeah.
be the nominee in 4 years.
Yeah.
And it's
Like
obvious. He's obviously the next guy. It's either him or Wes Moore, and I
yeah.
think it's probably Gavin Newsom. He's the more household name. He's
Yeah.
but the problem is the state of California doesn't even really like him that much.
No. No.
He's not even really well liked here. Not even by the lefties in California.
Yeah. When I
Because he
posed
went back on so many positions.
yeah, like when I posed the question earlier about, you know, who like whoever you are, like whoever is running for president, they need to be asked, what do you believe in that isn't tied to what your donors believe? Gavin Newsom was the first fucking person I was thinking of because if he's next in line, he's just a fucking elite. He's just a fucking rich boy fucking residing here in California, serving the fucking upper class of of this state at the expense of everybody else here.
Yeah, well, we don't
Fuck,
need another. That's why I like Wes Moore because he's a son of the corridor. He's from Baltimore, so like
it would be a better choice.
we need toughness, man. We
Yeah,
need toughness, and
we
there's no
need
tougher part of the country than the corridor.
we
It's
need
just
a
we don't need another soft Californian. If
yeah
someone comes out of California political machine, as long as they were from another part of the country originally, then I'm interested. Not to be hating on California too much, it's my home, but
hmm
I love the people here, but they don't like conflict. And we need a fighter right now. We need someone that loves conflict. We need
That's
someone that is passionate about getting to the bottom of things, and that is
so
through
accurate.
unapologetic rhetorical conflict.
Yeah.
And is Gavin Newsom that guy? No, he's in for a smooth kind
No.
of salesman type of thing. I need
Yeah.
trying to think of like a linebacker. I want someone who's going to lay some hits.
No
D
kidding.
lineman going to destroy the quarterback. Like we're going to win with a scoring defense. You know what I mean? We're going to have to take a lot of these issues, intercept them, and run them back to the other end zone.
Right. I was just like, I mean, like, look no further than the debate that he had with Ron DeSantis. I was just utterly unimpressed with him.
Yeah.
Like how can this guy be like next in line? Like, it's almost like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know?
Well, I don't think he's going to get the nomination. I think Wes Moore will come in and take it by storm because he'll get an enormous amount of black support.
I mean,
people like us will prefer him to Gavin automatically. I mean, it's all relative for us. We're never going to get what we want, at least not until I'm in my 50s. But like for us right now, it's all like, do you want mediocre Gavin or do you want Wes Moore, who's going to inspire people and have a great chance of winning the general election?
yeah,
Like, who's got a better chance of winning the general election in 4 years? A product of privilege like you're talking about in California, Prince Gavin, or a handsome, articulate black dude from Baltimore?
Mhm.
I'll take the brother, man. Like, that's, it's going to get the vote out. I mean, I hate to be, it's not like the identity should matter as much, but
of course,
Jesus Christ. Like, I mean, have you seen Wes Moore? This guy's a stud.
yeah, he needs to be a populist. If he doesn't
Right.
run a populist campaign, he will lose. You cannot count on the disdain for Republicans. You cannot count on them failing the next 4 years. You can't count on them destroying the country and people getting fed up with them. You actually have to run a populist campaign because if Republicans run the media like they do right now, especially independent media, because nobody fucking actually watches cable news except for old folks. You need to be like the Republicans could just trick the American people into thinking like everything's fucking fantastic and this is the greatest period in American history because of our reign, our fucking like control of power right now. And if you can't if you're not able to counter that, then it doesn't matter how fucking bad they actually are. It doesn't matter how badly they're destroying the country. You will lose unless you run a populist campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I think I don't know as much about him as I should or will. I think he's probably pretty incrementalist neoliberal. I don't know. But
We'll see, yeah.
I think, he's going to have to make adjustments and realize that people want a call for big, bold change. Big,
Right.
bold change.
Exactly.
I mean, let's do it. What's so goddamn scary about it? And I guess it's just losing that campaign financing money from the big donors. It all comes back to campaign
Always.
financing.
That's it. Yep.
And, Bernie was talking about ending Citizens United. Didn't hear a peep about that from Kamala because it wasn't on her agenda.
Of course.
Because it wasn't on her agenda. There's that
Should be
Maya
top
Angelou
five.
quote. There's that Maya Angelou quote, which is surreally popular right now. If someone tells you who they are, believe them.
Believe them. Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
we know who Donald Trump is,
hmm
and I still maintain. Let's finish with this because
Mhm.
I'm running into some pushback with other political friends of mine. I still maintain that the analysis that I offered is sound with respect to turnout, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but roughly 10 million fewer votes in 2024 than 2020. Is that right?
As of right now, I think Kamala's at like 68 million
No,
something.
but I mean total votes for.
Total votes for Kamala Harris.
No, hold on. So Biden got 81.3, Trump got 74.2.
I think he surpassed that now. Trump has, which is crazy to think
And
about.
Trump got 75.5 this time. So Trump got an increase in 1 million votes, and a little bit over 1 million votes.
hmm
Okay. And then Kamala got 72.3, which was 9 million less than what Biden got.
Yep.
Pretty much a 9 million vote difference from
Yeah.
2020 Joseph Biden to 2024 Kamala Harris. All right. So that is huge.
Yeah.
That is 1/9. That is a 1/9 decline. So 11% decline in voter turnout. All right.
Yep. Yeah.
Of course, everything is going to look like Trump gained ground with certain demographics because turnout was down across the board. If you add those 9 million votes, all of those demographic numbers change. I mean, that the whole theory of presidential politics is that you've got a reliable X million votes coming from the Republicans. It's up to the Democrats whether or not they get past that. It used to be 50 million votes, and you have to get higher than 50 million. Now it looks like the number is about 75 million. Trump got 75.5 million votes.
Yeah.
So now that's the new number for 2028. Whoever runs has to get north of, really healthy north of 75, really 70, call it 76 million.
Yeah.
Which means it's actually not that tall of an order because that's less than half of what Biden lost.
Yeah.
Even if the next guy in 2020 just gets half of what Biden lost, then we'll be good. But I mean, yeah, like, so tell me about that analysis. All right. So if you add those 9 million votes into right. So it skews everything.
Yes.
The fact that the turnout was down by 11% means that, of course, it's going to look like Trump made headway with Latino males and with black males because not as many black males showed up this time. Not as many Latino males showed up this time. The ones that did are conservative more than the ones that aren't.
Yeah. Yeah. The Democrats lost 9 million votes. Trump gained 1 million. That's, I mean, 9 million people didn't go to Trump. You can't look at it like, oh, people are just all of a sudden okay with Trump. No, you just didn't give them anything. Like one of our streams from last week, Biden kept Bernie's coalition. Like he actually kept the progressive messaging intact with his campaign and whatnot. I mean, not to mention he had a whole lot more longer time to campaign and whatnot. If you just bring forth populist messaging and are rhetorically savvy enough to excite the people to vote that Bernie Sanders was able to excite, you can win in 2028. Given everything runs exactly like it's supposed to.
So that's my thesis, is that because turnout was down so enormously, that all the analysis over Trump and the GOP really being something that should be adapted towards, that the Democrats need to be more like, is ridiculous. Because also, too, just think about, Kulinski makes this point, if someone has a choice between real Republican or fake Republican, which one are they going to choose? More often than not, they're going to choose the real Republican. It's like, hey, we're Republicans without the racism. It's like, that's not enough.
Yeah.
Not even close to enough.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, how is 2016 not proof enough of that? It's like enough people voted for Trump that looked past the racism and the blatant misogyny, because he said that they were going, like, he's going to keep their jobs here. He was going to improve the economy for them. Like that's what's like. The economy was like the number one issue, like especially among Latino voters who went hard for Trump this time.
Right.
Like they were able to look past the threats of mass deportation and breaking up families and shit because they're struggling.
Well, we have learned a little something about the immigrant voter, which is that the second and third generation immigrants do not care about the new immigrants really that much.
Yeah, because they
It's
didn't
a
have to go
cultural
through
thing.
it.
You have to remember that from the southern border, you're not getting just Mexicans. You're getting Guatemalans and El Salvadorians and
Yeah,
Venezuelans and even people from south of that.
Yeah.
So all those cultures, yeah, sure, they care about their countrymen and women, but they don't necessarily care about the other tribes. Like, do the Guatemalans really care about how the El Salvadorians are treated? Like,
Right.
in general, I think what is rubbed off on those brown voters that are now voting Republican is the classic American cultural value of I got mine, so fuck you.
That's exactly it.
I don't care if you get yours because I got mine.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's
That's-
sad to
it's that
see that
classic
happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the conservative mindset. That's I mean, it's how their fucking donors think. It's how the party thinks. It's just like, well, as long as I got mine, fuck everybody else.
Right.
Yeah,
All right, man. I think that's a good place to leave it.
yeah.
I don't have anything else really to run on. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Please tune in,
Roughly,
tell your friends, like, share, subscribe. Be cutting this up into shorts over the next day or two, as well as I'm going to be doing some reaction to Morning Joe because they're just going neoliberal corporate Democrat with this crap, and it's driving me nuts. And I'm just going to use that anger to be productive and take them on because the baby boomer, this is the big, maybe we'll finish with this. So this is the big transition for me with this election is I used to hold a grudge against just the baby boomer conservatives because I figured they are the real culprits. But now I have serious resentment toward the baby boomer liberals because they have done not even close to enough to stop the baby boomer conservatives. And they too have been complicit in this transformation of our economy into a one-sided economy. They've been complicit. And I'm also worried about, we'll get on some Gen X liberals maybe if we can find them, but I'm interested to hear what people think about the Gen X generation because I think they're shameless capitalists. I don't think they should be the next leaders of the DNC. I think we need to skip a generation and go right to millennials. By the way, demographically, the millennials are the only ones that seem to be party loyal, by the way. So maybe you should stop shitting on millennial progressives.
Yeah.
Because we're the only ones actually showing up for the Democratic Party in the last 3 elections consistently.
Yeah. No kidding.
All right, for Stateless Patriot, I am Dieter McBusiness, and we are reminding you that you don't get change in America by asking nicely.
See you guys next week. Thanks for joining.